Hey everyone, Devin here. Today we're going to talk about how Backbends can help you heal yourself postpartum. And I'm going to give you 3 tips and stick around for the last one because it's the juiciest. So before we get started, I know that it's been a busy season. So there might not be a whole lot of people watching live, but let me know if you're watching live or on the replay, because I'd love to know when you're able to join me. This is the time when I can go live because it's when my little ones are asleep. If you are unfamiliar with me, I'm Devin. I run the group. I am a yoga teacher, I'm a wife, and I'm a mom. My kids are 4 and 1. My 1-year-old has been going through a sleep regression lately, and that has been very tough, as any one of you who have gone through sleep regressions know. It's never fun. I'm not the cry it out type of parent either. No judgment if you are, just I personally don't. So it's been a lot of clingy nights. Also just before we get started, if while I'm chit-chatting, if anything comes up for you, please feel free to share in the comments, or if you have questions, ask away in the comments. If you feel a little bit too shy or nervous to ask your question in the comments, always feel free to DM me. I never ever want you guys to have a question and just like not get an answer. Usually if you have a question, other people have the same question. So please feel free. I'm here to make you guys feel better. And if anything I say resonates with you, feel free to like drop your favorite emoji, or one of those emojis or anything like that. And I know when I'm talking with mom friends, like frustration, like talking about the sleep regression or whatever, and then my mom friends are like, oh yeah, I've been through that too. When there's that like camaraderie, it feels like, it feels good. You feel seen. So definitely feel free to do that if you feel called to do it. All right, so let's talk about backbends and how they can heal you. So first things first, I'm sure you're aware, and if you're not, back pain is like the number one common issue for pregnant women and postpartum women, especially pregnant women though, as like we can all attest, pregnancy, especially in the late stages, is not the most comfortable way to live. So what happens is, the weight of the baby and the way you have to move around, get up off of like whatever thing you're sitting on, just like move around in general is it's a lot of work for the back, and it's not optimal movements, but it's the only way we can do it, right? I remember towards the end when I was like sitting on the couch, getting off the couch was like the most hilarious, like awkward way. But at least I could do it, like some people need help. And that's fine too. But and that slouching that like just becomes natural, and like the only way to be comfortable actually creates like being uncomfortable. And then like on top of just that, things can like get pinched and like nerves and stuff like that, and just like incredibly uncomfortable. Sorry, my cat is like trying to knock over everything. Anyways, so that happens in pregnancy, especially late stage pregnancy. And then postpartum, we often are either nap trapped, or we have to hold our babies in weird ways that like we wouldn't normally hold our bodies. Like, I always carry my little guy on my right side, and I know that it's like not the best thing in the world because I'm not getting like that equal weight on both sides, but it's also the most natural way for me. When I hold him on my left side, it feels so weird. So like, you know, have to do the natural side. So like I'm out of alignment. So yeah, back pain ends up coming up even for me. And you know, sometimes we have to bed share, and staying in the same position like all night is not the funnest thing in the world. Yeah, and then like baby wearing, or sometimes, you know, you have to like bounce on the ball, or yeah, be on the rocking chair, whatever, forever, and that does not help the back. So basically what's happening prenatal and postpartum is slouching. Slouching is happening. Slouching, being out of optimal alignment, and like basically there's nothing you can do about it. You're just going to be not in the most optimal alignment, and that's what's going to happen. That also is going to lead to some back pain. The thing that ends up happening though is we forget about ourselves, and you know, we're like I said, you know, holding my baby on my right side just feels more natural, so I'm going to continue doing that. But if I were to do that and not do anything else, like in my movement, then the little aches and pains that come up here and there can become chronic. And then chronic pain leads to, you know, those days where you're like, oh, I put my back out, or yeah, like I pinched something, and you know, it's like a pain where you can barely breathe. Like if you take a deep breath, it hurts, stuff like that. That's the kind of stuff we want to avoid. And that is so common because we don't put ourselves first. You know, we have so many things on our plate, and then you know, we often think like, oh, like exercise, like who has time for that? Like I don't. But it's one of those things where it's not for, in my opinion, it doesn't have to be for an aesthetic. It is more for maintenance, so that you are not in pain, so that you can keep up with your kids. So you're not like, oh, I'm just getting old. Like this is just what being old feels like. And it's like, no, you don't have to feel that way. You know, you just have to include movement. And, you know, sometimes people don't like movement, and that's why we also avoid it. But it's like, you don't have to do like an hour and a half. You know, you don't have to do things you don't like to do. You know, you have to find the thing that you like to do that makes you feel good, and then continue on with that and use that as your maintenance. So you're not going to just accept that you're going to be in pain, or be like, oh, I have a bad back. Like, no, you don't have to have a bad back. You know, like some people, you know, they have like physical issues, like some discs, or herniated discs or slip discs or stuff like that. Like that's one thing. But if you're just the type of person who keeps getting like putting your back out and saying, oh, I have a bad back, like you don't have to. You can feel good. You just have to put in some efforts in that area. And that's another thing, you know, you might not like doing that. Like if you are into doing weights or something. Like a really good example, when I used to work at a gym, like a lot of the guys would do like arm exercises and upper body all the time, and never do leg day. And my husband was actually like, you know, I understand that. Like I hate leg day. And I hate how the recovery of leg day, like it hurts so much more. The legs just like they kill. And it's like, yeah, I get that, but your legs need to be strong too, you know? So maybe you love working on your core or your abs, or maybe you love working on your legs or your butt. Like for women, a lot of the time, like the popular thing is to work on the butt, right? But then somebody says, hey, work on your back or work on back bends. And you're like, I don't like doing that. Or, oh, I'm not good at that, so I'm not going to do it. But it's like, you have to find balance throughout. So it's really important. So why is that important postpartum, the subject of our video? Well, it's super important for a number of reasons. The first reason is that you want to be able to move around with your baby. Your baby's going to be pulling you onto the floor, wanting to play with you when they're a little bit more mobile. And if you're like, oh, all the time, it's not fun, you want to be able to actually have fun with your kid. You don't want to be like, leave me alone, I'm in pain. And then you want to be able to carry your kid around for as long as you need to. And if your back is killing you all the time, you're not going to be able to. It's like hard to even move sometimes when you have those back issues. So you're trying to avoid that. You're trying to avoid all of that so you can have your joy while you are parenting. And it's also important because we slouch so much. So when we're healing postpartum, it's inevitable we're going to be slouching. Like you can't be nap trapped with perfect posture. So it's inevitable, but you want to be able to recover from that. You don't want to be like, oh, I was stuck for an hour that way, now I can't move. Still, like, you want to be able to be mobile. So you want to be able to be mobile for your child, but you also want to be able to be mobile for yourself so that you're not in pain. And interestingly enough, back bending can help with your pelvic floor as well. So the piece of the puzzle in pelvic floor health that is often forgot about is the mobility of it. Everybody thinks it has to be strong, but then if there's no mobility, that also creates dysfunction in the pelvic floor. So interestingly enough, back bends also help with the pelvic floor. So as you can tell, that is going to be very helpful postpartum. So back bends, when you are working on your back bends, an added benefit as well is they also strengthen your butt. So if you're the type of person who loves working on your butt, back bends can help you get a stronger butt if you have the good alignment in your back bending. So so let me elaborate on that. So the first thing I said, that it's helpful for you being mobile to play with your child. So like I said, you're going to be down on the floor a bunch, but aside from that, you're also going to be bending over to pick up your child a lot. It's going to happen a lot. I love wearing dresses and skirts, but I basically haven't at all, like, except for special events, for the last 4 years, because I've been so busy picking up my children. And that's not conducive to dress and skirts, right? So, when you're bending over, proper alignment says to hinge from the hips, and when you're lifting, it's to bend from the knees. But that's not always going to happen, especially if you are saving your kid from falling down and hurting himself or herself. I caught Felix trying to dive headfirst off of the couch the other day. I wasn't thinking have good alignment to catch him. I was just like, oh my God, make sure he doesn't fall. And working on your back bends is going to help make sure that if you have to pick up your kid in one of these weird ways, your back is strong enough that it's not going to hurt you, you know? Like if you have a weak back because you've never worked on it and you go to save your kid in that kind of way, you're going to probably tweak your back and then it's going to really hurt. And, you know, it's not like 100% sure you're going to, but there's a chance that you're going to. There's like probably a 50% chance that you're going to hurt yourself if you have to, you know, save your kid in a weird position. But if you work on back bends and your back gets stronger and stronger, then the chances go from, you know, like 50% to like maybe 40 or 30, you know, it lessens the chances. And to stay mobile for yourself, you know, like we're talking from the lens of a mother. You're always worrying about everybody else, but you want to think about yourself as well. And you just don't want to be in pain, you know? So that like one of a mom friend of mine today, she was dropping the kids off at the bus stop and she could barely move. And it's like so sad to see because she's like my age or younger and she's like, oh. And I'm like, no. So I gave her some tips and I'm like, it's a good thing I'm going to talk about this tonight because I'm sure other people are going to need these tips. You know, we want to feel good. Like, what if it was like date night or like her birthday or something, you know, then she wouldn't be able to enjoy it. It's like such a damper on your spirits and on your mood when you're in pain. And so working on back bends, and you know, it doesn't have to be your sole focus, you know, you can do other things as well, but adding that into your routine is going to help ensure that your back gets stronger and you won't be in pain. Then you can enjoy your free time, you know, you finally put the baby down and what now, you're going to just be in agony, or are you going to do whatever you want to do and feel good? Or even if you can't do whatever you want to do, maybe you have to clean the house or, you know, do your chores. If you are in pain, you probably aren't going to do that stuff. So then it's going to add to that mental load for you because you're going to be like, oh, I need to get this stuff done, but I'm in so much pain. And it's like, we don't need that. We don't need that extra thing on our shoulders. We want to be pain-free because we have so much going on, so much mental load, so much responsibilities. The last thing we need is injury. So then on top of that, working on back bends can help you with your postpartum weight loss and fitness goals. So people often forget about back bending because they're like, oh, I'm not happy with my stomach, I'm just gonna work on my core. But it's like, you know, the term core kind of gets misused because people are often referring to their abs when they're saying core. But core is kind of like the middle of your body. It encompasses more than just your abdomen. And it can encompass your back in there. And when you are working on your core all the time, you know, because you want it to look flat or something. That's usually why people are working so much on their abs. When you work only in that plane of your body, you get tightness as well. So that can sadly contribute to back pain. If you are able to put back bending into the mix, it can help you with your abs because it takes so much strength to be able to do back bends with integrity in your body and with a proper alignment. And it can also help to make sure that your abs stay mobile. And and there's that flexibility being built there as well, instead of just being tight and locked down. And that's not what we want. And leading into the pelvic floor talk, that's not what we want in our pelvic floor either. You know, we have this perception, because we don't have enough education on the subject, that if we just work on Kegels, 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 and making it as tight as we can, that there's going to be like no issues there. But the truth of the matter is that when you're just like strengthen, 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 which isn't really strengthening it, it's just, activating it, it can lead to tightness, which is one of the biggest causes of pelvic floor dysfunction. Because when the pelvic floor is too tight, then that's when prolapse or leakage and stuff like that can happen. So instead of just like strength, 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 we want to find the full range of motion. So we want to find the full range of motion in our body, so front and back, but we want to find the full range of motion in our pelvic floor as well. And back bends can help facilitate that. So if you are doing your back bending and you are having the proper alignment, you are actually helping the pelvic floor with the flexibility range of motion instead of the strengthening range of motion. So for a better visual of that, if you think of your cat-cow poses, cow pose would be the back bend, and cow pose is when you're blossoming open instead of like closing and lifting. So that is a really important movement, and that happens naturally when you're back bending. It's not something you have to be like, oh, I'm doing a back bend, I have to think of like opening my pelvic floor. It just naturally happens. And it's a really good visual to think of your cow pose, because that's something I think most of us have done. And you can think of your pelvis a bit more when you're in your cow pose. So when you're in your cow pose, you're thinking of your pelvic tilt in the respect of your imagining your tailbone coming up towards the sky. So the more you do that, the more you can keep that in your mind palace and keep it in your muscle memory. So when you're working on your back bends, you can think of, that same pelvic tilt. And for many of the poses. So there's a couple of different back bend categories I like to talk about, and they are scared butt and they are proud butt. So proud butt would be the pelvic floor blossoming open, the cow pose type of back bend. So that is one where you're thinking of your butt and your butt coming back, and proud butt, like I was saying, having a nice juicy butt, and your tailbone coming like up towards the sky, if you're talking about your cow pose. So if you can imagine that in any other back bend, you could think of it in like, if you were at the wall and you're trying to reach your hands to the wall and thinking of reaching your butt to the wall as well, or even the supported back bend where you lie back on blocks, you could think of it happening there as well. But the other type of back bend, which can also help with the pelvic floor strengthening, is the scared butt back bends. So those are a lot more common back bends. So those would be like your cobra poses and your upward dogs. That is where you're thinking of your tailbone going in the other direction. So if you think of your cat-cow poses and you think of your cat pose, your tailbone's coming down towards the floor. So when you are in your cobra pose, for example, you're on your belly and then you're pressing up. Your arms are pressing up, and you're thinking, instead of having a juicy butt and having your tailbone come towards the sky, you're having a scared butt and you're thinking of your tailbone coming down towards the floor. Doing that engages your abdomen, especially your lower abdomen, which naturally engages your pelvic floor in a strengthening type of way. So the really cool thing, like I said in the beginning of the beginning of this video, to wait to the end, is that Backbends can help you with your full range of pelvic floor movement. So because there's those two categories, the scared butt and the proud butt Backbends. So that really helps with your postpartum recovery, because the pelvic floor has been through so much trauma. So when you are working on your back bends, I want you to think of your pelvic tilt, and you ask yourself, am I doing a proud butt or a scared butt pose? And like I said, the scared butt back bends are a lot more common, but there are a number of proud butt back bends as well. And when you're doing them, try to connect your mind to your pelvic floor and notice, like, okay, right now I'm doing a scared butt pose. Like, what's my pelvis doing? Do I feel my pelvic floor? Trying to make that connection. So doing that can really help your pelvic floor. And, you might have started doing back bends to help with your back pain, which it's definitely going to do, but it can also heal your pelvic floor, and it will keep you mobile for yourself and for your baby. So I hope that makes sense. If you have any questions, please feel free, comment or DM me. I want your backs to feel great. And I'm going to have a fun little announcement at the end of the week in the group. So keep an eye out for that, definitely. I really want you all to see that, as I know the group's been a little quiet. So I think this is a really cool thing that I'm going to be posting. So please keep an eye out for that. And that's it, I think. Yeah, and tomorrow there is not going to be a poll for the tutorials, because I'm continuing on with my hip pain relief series. So if that is of interest to you, comment and I will send you the link when the tutorial is live. All right, thank you so much for joining me, and I can't wait to see you on the next one. Take care. Bye for now.